Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to One Piece, episode 1013. So, last we left off, we kind of ended on a little hint of what's possibly to come this episode, most likely, I would say. Yamato started to tell Shinobu and Momonosuke about his past with Ace. And this is something I am obviously very excited for. Just to learn more about his past, as well as his connection to Ace, which we've gotten little hints of, is something that's just really hype. But there are some other things going on currently, and I'm wondering if those will be preempted by this little story, or if those will continue to be focused on still. I don't know how this is going to work, because we've got Jinbei about to face who I believe is Who's Who. He's like this cat-like beast form, and I believe it shows in the opening this cat-like beast with Who's Who's helmet / mask, whatever you want to call it, on. And in the episode, we saw what looked like, even though he was mostly shadowed, we saw that what looked like, again, Who's Who's helmet / mask thing. So there was that. We have Sanji still captured by Black Maria. Luffy's continuing his ascent. Zoro and them are still dealing with everything down below, but Marco is agreeing to help Zoro here, and Chopper is working on the cure. Everything is continuing onward. But I'm wondering if we are going to focus entirely on the flashback stuff, or if we're going to just kind of put off, or like go back and forth. I don't know. But I'm definitely interested and excited to find out. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're just going to get into this. Hope for the best with this episode. And if it is off flashback, cool. I mean, One Piece is great with flashbacks. We've known this for a long time. Flashback episodes, or even series of episodes, can oftentimes be just some of the best content of the series. I mean, look at Robin's flashbacks back in Enies Lobby. Or, hell, even just in this arc alone, the flashbacks to Roger, Whitebeard, and Odin. Like, these flashback sequences can be damn amazing. And even if it's only one episode this time, I still have a lot of hopes for it. Again, especially with it centering around Yamato and Ace. So we'll see. But in the meantime, like I said, we're just going to get into this, hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah, not the entire episode was the flashback. Most of it was, but we also did get a few glimpses into some other stuff. At the end there, we had Otama talking to Nami about Ace and everything, and Otama's clearly about to learn that Luffy and Ace are brothers. She didn't really know that before, so... but we had brief glimpses at Black Maria's spider form, which, let me actually go back on that real quick. Let me see if I can find that. Because it mentioned, like the specifics of it. Like, what it was called. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Okay, here we go. Spider fruit, ancient type, Rosa Miguel Gravogelli model. Okay, I feel like I have to look that up. Let me see if I can look that up real quick. Yes, Rosomygale gravagelli. A genus of extinct Triassic spiders. So they were spiders that existed in the Triassic period and all. Okay. Let me see if I can see. The oldest known member of the Mygalomorphae, one of the three main divisions of spiders, which includes well-known forms such as tarantulas and Australian tunnel webs. Okay. I'm trying to see like size-wise or anything, or any specific descriptions here. Up to 6 millimeters in length. Okay. I'm not seeing any other like big information or whatnot. Yeah, looking at pictures here, it just seems like a spider. A creepy ass spider, but a spider nonetheless. The funny thing is on the Google image search, I put that in at. There's just a bunch of Black Maria pictures too, because I guess it's like more known for the character at this point than like the actual like real life spider. But yeah, okay, so that is an actual ancient type of spider. I was wondering about that because again, Kaido's Beast Pirates, and especially his the Tobiropo and the headliners and stuff, they all have this very specific theme to their devil fruits. They're all these ancient type Zoan devil fruits. Like we have again Who's Who in this episode with his saber-toothed tiger. We have the different dinosaurs and whatnot. But then we have a spider, and so it's like I didn't get a good look at it during the reaction, but so yeah, apparently the Rosomygale gravagelli was an ancient type of spider during the Triassic period. I'm learning shit. I'm watching One Piece and I'm learning shit. Oh, isn't that fun? But we also find out in this episode that apparently Jinbei and Who's Who fought together at some point, at least according to Who's Who. That they fought on the same side at some point in the past, but Jinbei doesn't recognize him at all. But he's saying if he could remove the mask, he might be able to recognize him. So I'm really curious about that. I want to know like how they actually might know each other. And then we have the flashback stuff. So Ace, and back when he was with the Spade Pirates prior to joining Whitebeard, he went to Wano to take on Kaido, but also especially to rescue these kids that were kidnapped there. When he gets there, he finds that Kaido and his officers are all gone at the moment, and Onigashima is basically being defended, you could say, by Yamato. So Ace and Yamato fight, and Ace and the Spade Pirates are able to free the kids and all, and we get a big moment where Ace basically inspires Yamato to follow his dream of freedom, of going into the sea and experiencing freedom. This is what truly sets Yamato more on the path to, fighting alongside Luffy and everything where he is now. Not even just what he heard about Luffy from Ace, but this one moment where where Ace inspires him and tells him it's like, you don't have to live in your father's shadow. You can do your own thing. And in response, Yamato breaks the dragon statue. And so it's like, I'm genuinely really, really into that. That Ace was the one who really gave Yamato that extra push that he needed in order to take this next step. And I want to briefly touch on something here as well, and it's the Spade Pirates misgendering Yamato. There's something I kind of have always said since coming out and everything, as it applies to me. Now, this obviously doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, and I'm not going to like try to say it should, but as it applies to me, if I'm out there somewhere like at a store or whatnot, or just out doing something, and someone misgenders me, I'm usually not super upset about it because usually it's from people who don't know. And especially when I like am not fully shaven like this, when I have all this scruff up here, um, people might just not realize because guys can have long hair, guys can have colored hair. That's not really an indicator, right? So, and I mean, granted, there are no real quote unquote indicators as to what makes a male or female. Like, gender is not based on looks in any way. And I'm not going to open up that can of worms because I want to keep on topic here. But yeah. But the point is, usually if someone just doesn't know, I don't, I'm not bothered as much by it. It still stings for sure, but I'm not that bothered because I understand that they just don't know. That it's not necessarily their fault. Now, if someone's actively doing it like with ill intent, that's different. If someone is actively and aggressively misgendering me or dead naming me or whatever just to be an asshole and to spread their, bigoted beliefs and stuff, that I have an issue with. That bothers me. But if it's just someone who doesn't know, I let it slide. And part of that is because I also very rarely just correct people on that because I'm very shy and timid about just doing that kind of stuff in real life. I'm just very shy and timid in general, but yeah, it's like I don't really mind it as much as long as I understand that it's not with any ill intent and that it's just because they don't know. So, yeah. I don't necessarily I don't have any ill will towards the Spade Pirates here because I understand that they just didn't know. They saw Yamato and they saw what they understood, even if it was a really false understanding, but what they understood to be a woman because of the way they were probably raised and taught. But I like how this episode makes it clear that that's not the case. Yamato gets angry, actively and like very noticeably angry when they call him Kaido's daughter. And later on in this same flashback, we have a flashback within the flashback of Kaido referring to Yamato as his son. And Yamato also eventually refers to himself as Kaido's son within the flashback towards Ace and all. So it's like it's making a very, very strong point here, I feel. And it's like it's funny because a lot of people, sorry if I kick the camera stand there for a second. It's funny because there's a lot of people out there who are so insistent on misgendering Yamato. There's so many people, so many fans of One Piece who are so insistent on misgendering Yamato and calling him a girl and stuff. And one of the biggest excuses I've seen them use is there's these data cards that are released called Viver cards because, the reference to the series. They're officially released data cards, and apparently the Viver card for Yamato basically misgenders him as well. And they like to use this as supposed proof of Oda saying that Yamato is a girl, even though within the canon of the story, which is the most reliable source, more so than anything else. More so than data cards that Oda probably has not as much actual say in as people think. Let's be honest, especially knowing Oda's excessive schedule on how he works on One Piece. Oda probably doesn't have as much say in those data cards as you would think. But either way, the actual series itself, the manga and anime, are the number one source for information. Always. Not just with One Piece, but with everything. If something like even a creator says openly contradicts what their material itself says, the material has to be taken as the final word. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but the material is the canon. And this is why stuff like people retroactively declaring characters as like queer and stuff after the fact of the canon can't really be taken seriously. Retroactive changes like that don't really work because it goes against the actual source material. Big example, obviously, the entire Dumbledore being gay thing for Harry Potter, because there was nothing even to hint at that in the material, in the books, or the movies, I guess, but in the books specifically. And J.K. Rowling just retroactively, after the series was already finished, just said, "Oh, by the way, Dumbledore's gay." And I'm not going to talk too much about that, but it's like, because J.K. Rowling has a lot of other issues that specifically get me heated. But yeah, it's that same kind of thing. So even if Oda did have a very strong hand in what went on these data cards, which is very unlikely, but even if he did, if it contradicts what is directly within the series itself, the series has to be taken as the finite source of information. And within the manga and anime, Yamato is actively referred to by he, him pronouns. He is actively referred to as the son of Kaido, even by Kaido himself. He is actively shown to get angry at people referring to him as a girl. It's pretty damn clear. And some people like to also use the excuse, "Oh, but it's just because Yamato idolizes Odin and wants to be like him." And it's like, his reasoning does not fucking matter. The reasoning behind this, or behind anything, does not matter. All that matters is what Yamato says. If Yamato says he's male, he's male. And some people brought up, okay, what if after all of this is done, what if Yamato does go out to sea and starts referring to themselves as female and starts using female pronouns? It's like, then at that point I will respect that, because Yamato will be the one to say so. If that is the case, if that does happen, I will respect that, because it is Yamato's word within the canon source material. But as of now, within the source material, at every turn, it makes a very strong point. This episode is a very good example of this. It makes a very strong point of making sure that you know Yamato is male. It really hammers it in with this episode and how it's handled. It doesn't like directly like just nail it in the head like with every like line of dialogue, but the visual cues, the audio cues, everything, the just how everything is said, it's like it's very much telling you over and over again, like in this episode, like Yamato is a guy. Refer to him as a guy. I'm sorry if I took a long time to just talk on that, but it is a very sensitive subject for myself, so. And I get really legitimately like vitriolically angry when I see people like on social media not just saying Yamato is a girl, but actually actively defending that stance and trying to like use quote unquote evidence of such, that is what pisses me off. When people are so insistent on it that they start trying to prove it, even though, again, the source material actually says otherwise. So, yeah. And it's just, I feel like this episode made it very clear. But yeah, I can definitely see why people ship Ace and Yamato. Like, seeing their connection and how their relationship grew in this episode, how they became really good friends. It's just like, oh yeah, I can very much see it. It's very apparent here. And honestly, I kind of get behind it. It's a cute idea, and I think they actually do have some chemistry, even though we didn't get like a lot with them. But just from what we got, and the fact that they do have so many similarities, it's like I can imagine them as a couple just drinking together and shit talking their fathers. Not Whitebeard, obviously. I'm talking about Roger with Ace, but still. Yeah, it's just it was a really good episode, and it gave us a lot of depth on how Yamato really got the drive to follow through with all of it, because we knew Yamato was inspired by Odin. Like, he doesn't make a secret of that by any means. We knew that. But we can see here that even despite that, he was still holding himself back. And that it was actually Ace who gave him the courage to fight for his freedom and to actively oppose his father. And it was through hearing these stories about Luffy that he knew that basically he had to wait for that he had to wait for Luffy to eventually arrive. But it's like the one thing I really didn't expect, again, sorry for hitting the camera stand, one thing I really didn't expect was to hear Cavendish brought up. It's like, I'm sorry? Like, I get it. It's like, it works out timeline-wise and everything, I guess. Like, as well as, like, other supernovas being brought up. But at the same time, it's like, oh. And I think it's funniest because with Rough Senpai's reactions, which I watch, he's currently in Dressrosa, so Cavendish has been, like, there, notably. And so it's like, oh, that's timely as well, just because of where Ruff is at the moment. I really think that's genuinely funny as hell that Cavendish was brought up. Of all characters, the supernovas, the other supernovas like Beji and Law and all, like, yeah, bring them up. That's fine. That makes sense. That works. But again, specifically the fact that Cavendish makes me fucking laugh. But yeah, it's like I really enjoyed this episode. As I've made it clear plenty of times, Yamato is one of my favorite characters in this series. I just adore him, and yeah, part of that is because of, you know, the obvious reasons, being trans and everything. But I also just really think he's a fantastic character, and stuff like this makes him even better. I'm definitely interested to see once Otama does, like, get that key bit of information that Luffy is Ace's brother, because she still doesn't actually know that, so I'm wondering how Otama's going to respond to that, because obviously Yamato already knows. So how's Otama going to react? Also, Yamato knew Ace died. I don't think Luffy told him that, did he? Did Luffy tell him that? Or I think Yamato may have already known, but I'm also kind of wondering how. Because we know Wano does not get news from the rest of the world. Unless Kaido maybe does, and that's how Yamato heard. Because Kaido has been, like, getting all this news nonetheless, and has heard about everything. I assume Kaido would have to know as much as he knew about Luffy and all. But still. I don't know. Either way, tell me your thoughts on this episode down in the comments below, and thank you all so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.